We have a new contribution to the discourse over the CNN Trump town hall that we wanted to cover for you. This one is from Jon Stewart. Go ahead and put this up on the screen. He says, "Dear TV, the problem with the Trump town hall wasn't platforming or a fragile, siloed audience unable to be exposed to newsworthy opinions antithetical to their own. The problem was an event that was clearly negotiated to Trump's approval, an ode to access. We promise, good sir, we are no longer fake news, an enemy of the people. Let us prove it to you. We are fair and good, and we'll do this however you would like. Just come back. I learned nothing from this town hall," he says, "about Trump and his most ardent supporters that I haven't known since 2016. I learned a lot about CNN." I have to say, Saagar, I was a little surprised by how much of a freakout there was just over the idea of even having the town hall. I think there's a lot of things you could say about the way that it was conducted. I think, you know, the questions were questions that CNN's liberal audience wanted to hear, some of which needed to be asked, but which you were not going to get anything new.
Yes.
So the amount, and I think that point that Stewart makes here is really apt. The amount that you were going to gain from those particular lines of questions, you knew you weren't going to get him to admit that the 2020 election wasn't rigged. You knew generally what he was going to say about E. Jean Carroll, though that was newsy. You had to get his reaction to that, right? But the fact that they spent so much of their time on those topics that you knew you weren't going to gain any ground on, that you also know that, listen, you may want it to be otherwise the Republican base doesn't care, and actually they liked his response and they like where he stands. To me, that was the wasted opportunity and the place for critique of the way the town hall was conducted. The idea of, oh, you can't platform the former president, who is very likely to be the Republican nominee again. I will never understand that line of thinking whatsoever.
Yeah, and actually, Tara Palmieri had some great insight from an audience member. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen from Puck News, inside the Trump CNN Thunderdome. So apparently, the audience was actually told, you're not allowed to boo, but you can applaud, you can cheer, which is definitely pretty weird.
Yeah.
Because what she points out is that there were some people who were in the audience who definitely were not on board the Trump train, who were cringing. Now, don't get us wrong. Like, many people in the audience did love Trump and were cheering at some of the things that he was saying. But it's very odd that they were basically told you can only have positive, it's like a positive vibes only sign.
Right.
Except it's at a political event. That one is very odd. CNN claims that they that they agreed to no terms from Trump. I'm not so sure it's true.
Yeah.
And I think also, I'm not sure if you were aware, Krystal, they were supposed to go for 90 minutes. They actually cut it short at 70 minutes of broadcast, which is insane. Who does that?
Right.
When you have the former president.
No, you push for
usually
more.
You wait until the guy cuts you off and then
Right.
you're willing to go. Clearly, the producers in the room were like, this is a disaster. This is not working out for us well at all. And they pulled out from the event. I'm not sure, though, I necessarily agree with Jon in terms of I learned nothing from this town hall about Trump. So I think CNN and Caitlin spent way too long on Stop the Steal and on E. Jean Carroll. It's actually 25 minutes by my count. That said, it still is important politically. We did get an answer on the debt ceiling, which is crazy. Trump, who spent a crazy amount of money while he was president and cut taxes for corporations and ballooned the deficit, says we've been spending too much money. I'm like, really? Because you cut taxes quite a bit while you're in office. That seems pretty odd. Also, this is a criticism, I think, of the moderator. Somebody who actually knows anything about policy would have been like, what are you talking about? You ballooned the deficit by X amount while you were president. That's probably a good follow-up question. Second, on abortion. So I'm not sure if you saw his abortion answer. It was the most insane, all over the place answer that I have ever seen him give. He's like, well, I was honored to do it, but I believe in the exceptions, the 3 exceptions, and also the Democrats are radical. And you're like, what?
Wait, what?
So are you proud of it or are you defending it? Do you agree with a ban or not? And he's like, well, we'll see. I don't know the particulars. Everybody's got an answer. He's like, he is twisting himself in knots.
Word salad.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was a horrible answer, of which politically will be a disaster for him. And then finally on Ukraine, I mean, the Ukraine answer was incredibly important. The first time he's really said it in a CNN-type setting, and clearly, you know, showing his belief around negotiation and diplomacy. The point is that I actually think we did learn quite a bit. Politically also, I'm talking about this in my monologue, so preview. One of the dumbest reasons to say that platforming him was bad is that there is ample evidence to say that platforming him is the best thing you can do if you want him to lose. Like the abortion answer. They will be clipping I was honored to overturn Roe versus Wade and play it in every battleground state on repeat from now until Election Day.
Yeah.
And they should. Same with the Stop the Steal answer. He's crazy. He actually believes it. So that's why I think, look, politically, it was good for the Democrats. And media-wise, yeah, man. I mean, when you interview Trump, like, sure, he's a loose cannon. You can't treat him, you know, whatever in the same way. But democratically, I didn't see any problem with it.
I also think there's a lot of cope around from Democrats. Around why Trump won in 2016. And one of the lines of cope is the media gave him too much attention.
Right.
And that ignores, like, oh, and the Democrats ran a horrendous candidate that they rigged the primary to make sure that they got, who ran a horrendous campaign, who didn't even like really campaign and certainly didn't campaign effectively in the, you know, the blue wall states in the industrial Midwest, who was seen as being totally out of touch. All of the, like, that just gets totally swept under the rug. And it's like, well, they shouldn't have covered Trump so much and taken his rally so much. And look, I'm sure there's a lot of critique of the media in 2016. I'm not saying that they got it all right, but I also think that a lot of that is cope for some of the rot in the Democratic Party that contributed to that loss that they've never wanted to deal with. And so now their response to Trump isn't, okay, here's an effective way to combat him. Here's some of his insanity that is going to really turn people off. It's like, let's just pretend he's not there. It's like, guys, we're way past that point. This man was president of the United States. This man is way up in the polls. There is no chance that we can just like pretend he doesn't exist and hope that he goes away. It's just not going to work. Clearly, the Biden campaign at least agrees with your assessment, Saagar, that the more that Trump is the center of attention and the more Biden is not the center of attention, the better that is for them. That is the formula that they want. And so in a sense, CNN did with this exactly what the Biden campaign would want them to do, which is to put on display, you know, the worst of the Trump insanities.
Biden had a great tweet afterwards. Not saying he tweeted it. He was just like, the campaign tweeted out, it's simple, folks. You want 4 more years of that? If not, join me at joebiden.com. I was like, yeah, that's a great answer. It's like drama, not drama. Now, I think there's a lot of criticism of Biden and all that. I still think he has a lot of problems. And if you ran a policy-focused and anti-Trump campaign, that sounds better, but they've decided to go only in one direction. Okay, that's, you know, their perilous thing. That said, though, something that drives me nuts exactly about the analysis is, where do the voters factor in here? CNN showing an empty Trump podium didn't cause 65 million people to pull a lever for Trump. It's multifaceted. And Caitlin actually said something which drove me insane. She said, you cannot say that on our air, Mr. President. And I remember being like, really? Did somebody elect the CNN? Like, a CNN now more important than the President of the United States? It's like, who are you to say you cannot say that on our air, as if it's like the sacred air of CNN. Never seen any lies on the CNN platform before. They all feel this way. I have a clip of Stephanie Ruhle that would play in my monologue, which just shows you the same thing about we're not going to talk about it at all. Nobody elected you people. You're just as sanctimonious and annoying as everybody else. In fact, you deserve each other. And that's why Trump went to CNN in the first place. Yeah. He wanted to jab Fox, and he wanted to go on the network and show that he could own them on their territory. And he won. I mean, the MAGA people loved that town hall. It was the best thing that has happened for them. So I feel like everybody won from that. CNN got 3 million people to actually watch their crappy network. MAGA got all of these moments of Trump owning CNN. And then the Biden campaign got all these clips that they can play on repeat.
I guess Ron DeSantis lost.
Yeah. Well, actually, even he only got mentioned one time that Trump actually went after him, which was kind of interesting, too, considering that's a primary. That's another thing.
But just the fact that the focus is all on Trump, that's a loss for DeSantis.
I agree. The big failure, actually, from CNN was not drawing more contrast on policy vis-a-vis DeSantis and trying to tease out what the actual differences between the two are. If we ever get the chance to interview Trump, or if we can ever line up something, that's one of the things I'll be hammering. I'll be like, all right, so you said you're going to do this, and DeSantis actually did it. So why should anybody believe that you're going to do it? I don't think he's ever been asked a question in that form, and that's because most of the people who interview Trump are idiots or are playing to CNN's media columnists about
they're playing
small
to some audience or another,
as opposed to the actual voters who are making this decision. Anyway, I think that's what matters the most.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.